Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's summaries online that just clarify it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. What power do these women claim that women have? We have Anna and we have Mary.
What was the question again? What power do these women claim that women have? Okay.
That women have.
So in the poem, I feel like at first she makes it sound like they kind of like need to like rise up and like seize their power, you know. Sorry, I like can't hear myself. This is weird. They like she makes it sound like they can rise up and they have all this power, but towards the end it kind of drops off and she's like, well, like women are too gentle anyways and they're not going to be able to sustain that. That's just what I kind of got from it. And then the other one, she makes it sound like women don't really have power right now, but they have the potential if we're given the opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really loved like the author of the chapter 2 and 3 writings. I thought she was really funny, and I feel like she was like what she was saying throughout a lot of her writing was like women really do have it all. Like they might not have, but like they have a lot of potential that's been untapped. Like
Yeah.
not be physically as strong as men, but if they were given the same right to exercise and train as they did, then they could at least be better women than they would be if they were deprived of the same opportunities that the men have to exercise and things like that.
Right, yeah. We kind of like she's kind of saying like we don't know exactly like how much power they could have. Like yeah, does that make sense? How much power they could have because they've never had the opportunity to like try and improve themselves, whereas men like have always had the power to like try and cultivate it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think to go along with that, it goes to show that right now, the power that women mostly have more entitled to being objects of beauty, and they're like saying, "Oh yeah, women could have this power," but especially with the poem one, like you were saying that they were like, "Oh yeah, women are this, this, and this, and this," but in actuality, we don't see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the chapter ones, at least what I was getting from it was she doesn't go into a whole like the negative parts of feminists in, you know, women should have this, should have that, should have every right of this, but she's like, test it out, give women equal opportunity, test it out. If we can't do it, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. She's kind of like what she said, like ceding the point, like, okay, fine, women are not smart, but like if you just like give us a chance, maybe you'll be right and like you'll prove yourself right. Like I also like how Mary Wollstonecraft, like she's very religious minded too. Like she has a practical knowledge, but she also has like a religious knowledge. Like of course men, she's not degrading men. She's like men have divine power. Like and but people think that women were created for men, but we have our own power too. So that was cool. Let's see, what's the next question? How is beauty a benefit or a hindrance for women in these writings?
I feel like just kind of like in a lot of the readings that we've read, beauty is a hindrance because it just puts a cap on what women are seen for. Like if beauty wasn't a thing, then there would be a whole world of opportunities to admire women for. Like there would be so many different things that we could look at them for or like judge them for, but beauty just puts a lid on it. Like this is like where women are going to be judged on, and like everything kind of has to fall within that their idea of beauty. I don't know.
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I think in chapter 3, she talked about like a woman that didn't dress nicely, but she was like sensible. Just like she was like, oh, what's the word she used? She was like kind of sensible, like smart, and also like a good person. But then people only saw that she like doesn't dress nicely, or so they didn't like respect her because like she didn't have those qualities that a woman should have.
Right.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, yeah. What question are we on? Sorry.
What role or something beauty? What beauty? How is beauty a benefit or a hindrance for women?
What I was getting is that in both writings is that I think beauty is helpful because it gets women noticed because of the fact that because of that cap. So like the cap is kind of good and yet bad where because of their beauty they're at least noticed as women as part of society, but also there is that limit of it shouldn't just be on beauty that they're noticed. There should be multiple ways of women getting noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like the poem says, blushes and fears, thy magazines of war. Like she can make men like blush and feel intimidated by her beauty. Oh, I guess she thinks she can make men blush, but then she could also make them like fear her too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to look for the thing.
No, you're good.
We can go on to the next question.
The next question is, do women need to rely on men in these writings?
I feel like in the chapter 3, I feel like she portrays women as being very strong. Like they don't need to, but they do because that's what their role is. So, like they could like suffice and survive on their own, but because of how society functions and because of their role in society, they do rely on men.
I got that from the poem too, where it's just like that separate rights are lost in mutual love. It's like you kind of, if you want to like if you want to like fall in love, you kind of have to like give up. You have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Or that could also mean that when you love, you like that could also mean that you have two rights. Like you have the right to be powerful and strong, or you have the right to be like soft and like caring. And you lose both rights if you lose one right if you choose the other. Like if you're loving, then you can't be strong. But if you're loving, you're weak. But if you're strong, you're not caring enough. You're not a woman enough.
I think in this context that's true, like as far as the readings, but then again it's like the readings, it's also like kind of having that humility of you are strong and caring if you have somebody with you. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, I can see it in the writings, but as far as the actual real life application context, it's like, actually, that's not quite true.
I like that. Yeah, maybe she's like saying this poem because it's what she like talks about the rights of women, like they're two different rights that we have. But then her real message, like for women to apply, is like, hey, that's not true. Like, you can be strong and caring. Like,
Yeah.
good point. Okay, let's see. Did anybody? There was a lot of stuff about like men.
I loved the line where Wollstonecraft said that men are just overgrown children.
Yeah, that was good.
That was so funny.
And she was just like calling people ignorant. I mean, like hypocritical and kind of ignorant because they relate like women. Like, you think women are childlike because they're innocent and they're weak, but men are the ones that are like childlike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
He also said like that. Tessa said that she pointed out these people that have like theories that about women, and she explains how like absurd and stupid they are. Like, the one where he says like that women were just like created to be there to like please men because women, that's what women were created for, like religiously. But like Jay said, they haven't had the opportunity to develop themselves like intellectually and physically. They could be more independent if they needed to. Mary Wollstonecraft points out that beauty was important to women because it helped them find a man to rely on. Does Barbald agree with the idea that women need to rely on men? What do you guys think?
Where did it say that?
The question or the part with Mary Wollstonecraft?
Whatever you just said, I didn't hear it.
Mary Wollstonecraft points out that beauty was important to women because it helped them find a man to rely on. Does Barbald agree with the idea that women need to rely on men?
I think kind of like what I said earlier, like women look for a man because that's what's expected of them in society. I guess. Because they need them.
Jay? Are you guys still hearing Jay?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I thing you said got cut off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did I say? I forget what I said.
You said something along the lines of, you just saying that it's expected of society as far as that, but as far as the agreement between Wollstonecraft and Barbald, I'm sorry, I butchered the name. It kind of seemed, at least the structure of the poem in my thought, that because of the way society is, it's almost like she doesn't agree with it because she's like, women are this super, super awesome thing, but society treats us this way. Especially missions conquer. Okay, so like in the last section, it says, "Heart shall feebly move." I don't know. It seems like the men kind of dominate on the women. Therefore, relying on the men needs to decrease or not happen, at least in that sense. I don't know if I'm interpreting it wrong or I just quickly scanned through it.
It says, yeah, I agree. It says, go be a proud man, his boasted rule resign. So he says, go tell the proud man that your rule is over. Like, you need to resign. You're not the boss anymore. And kiss the golden scepter of thy reign. So now I am the ruler. Like, women I'm the, I'm in charge now. Go tell the man that you're not in charge and get the scepter and be in charge. Like, be the queen. So it's hard. It's harder for me to understand Wollstonecraft because I don't know her. First of all, it's super long.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's written with like all of these big words sometimes gets me lost in what she means. But he also talks about like she says, I love man as my fellow, but his scepter, which is like that stick that the king hold or whatever, real and usurped, extends not to me unless the reason of an individual demands my homage. And even then, the submission is to reason and not to man. In fact, the conduct of an accountable being must be regulated by the operations of his own reason, or on what foundation rests the throne of God. So basically, they kind of are both saying like we rule our lives. Like I'm like I work with men because it's reasonable. Like it makes sense for a woman and a man to be together. I listen to reason. Like reason is my ruler, not man.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I think the only thing that we're missing from this conversation is about how is the concept of beauty and I guess how beauty
true.
portrays that. Because I mean, I think in a sense that really, I think both sides are both trying to say women should have the opportunity to be equal, but how does beauty contrast between these two authors? I think that's the only thing that we're missing from this conversation is what role does beauty play on both authors?
So it says that person to start with a statement of what these women have to say about how women relate to beauty. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to write about that because that was something that I think I really liked about the poem and Wollstonecraft's was that I felt like they were actually looking deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to relate beauty because I feel like Wollstonecraft actually talked about characteristics of a woman.
Maybe you could say that like the beauty of a woman is her potential. Like to these women, they're not worried about physical beauty. In fact, they kind of say like that's meaningless. Like it doesn't matter how I dress. It doesn't matter. Even though that's one of my like powers, I guess. The real beauty of a woman is in her potential to be strong and loving and compassionate. I don't know. That could be one way, but I don't know if Sister Ho will go for it.
I don't know. It's very specific as far as this is their agreement on beauty, as far as what it is towards a woman. I think that's a very good statement to realize. But I think this question is more so looking at their typical concept of beauty as far as what man sees. So like it seems that man is more objectifying them in they have to look this way, and that's pretty much their only power. And then this one is asking if they both agree or disagree on the fact that women rely on men to pretty much define that they are beautiful. That's what I'm getting from this question. Because then that kind of will go into our statement about how these two authors approach the concept of beauty as far as its relation to women.
Right. Okay. Did anybody read anything like about physical appearances, besides the did anybody get any like hints of what Anna Barbald thinks is physically beautiful in her poem? Because I feel like Sisterhood like always wants us to focus on like physical aspects of beauty sometimes, like
Yeah.
we need those as like symbols or signals to show what the author like solid evidence of what the author thinks is beautiful, rather than like some big broad concept. Here's one. Here's the passage. I once knew a weak woman of fashion who was more than commonly proud of her delicacy and sensible. She's like, but
wait, what was that?
I couldn't hear that.
Can you just send the quote, because I saw that you sent some quotes to the group chat. Send that quote through the group chat and I can add it in there as our evidence.
Okay.
Because I really think that's really a great idea.
He thought a distinguishing taste and puny appetite the height of all perfect. Okay, I think I interpreted this wrong. I feel like I'm interpreting this wrong.
Wait, is this Wollstonecraft or is it the poem?
It's Wollstonecraft. Can you guys read this phrase I'm sending to you? So it says a weak woman of fashion.
Okay, so it says, I once knew a weak woman of fashion who was more than commonly proud of her delicacy and sensibility. She thought a distinguishing taste and punny appetite the height of all human perfection and acted accordingly. So what was your interpretation of it? Just so we can understand.
Okay. So I guess I misinterpreted the second sentence, I guess. So I misinterpreted the first sentence, but the second sentence kind of like explains what she meant. So I thought it meant that her fashion was weak, but I think she's saying that she's physically weak, but she's more proud of being delicate and sensible. And she thinks that people who have like a strong taste and a puny appetite, I don't know what puny appetite is referring to, like food, like do you not eat that much? She thinks that that is human perfection, and then she acts accordingly.
I think in a sense that's like the physical beauty of maybe not just the fact that she's tiny, but the fact that she doesn't have, I think it's like the distinguishing taste, having a very, very particular taste in anything, and then the puny appetite in that she won't. What's your weak woman of fashion who is more than commonly proud of her delicacy? Oh, sorry. Perfection. So it's kind of like that's the women's guiding actions of they would rather have a very particular mind, like in Wollstonecraft's and the poem, they both were trying to emphasize the woman's potential, whereas it seems like that potential to maintain that perfection that everyone is expecting with society, and then they're acting accordingly to that. So they're not going beyond the box that is made for them. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah, it's so confusing. Okay, so
At least that's what
he
I'm
also
interpreting.
says that, like, gosh,
Sorry.
Is it nap time?
here's another quote. Taught from their infancy that beauty is a woman's center, the mind shapes itself to the body, and roaming round its steel cage only seeks to adore its prison. Men have various employments and pursuits which engage their attention and give a character to the opening mind, but women confined to women, having their thoughts constantly directed to the most insignificant part of themselves, seldom extend their views beyond the triumph of the hour.
I think that's a really good quote to emphasize like the physical beauty, the insignificance, as in their personalities and their attitudes. That's not necessarily what they want. At least other people in society want them to focus on. It's those minor, intricate details on themselves that makes them beautiful, and kind of defining that if many men are attracted to you, then you're beautiful in that sense.
Well, this also kind of shows that beauty, Mary Wollstonecraft thinks that her physical beauty is the most insignificant part about herself. Like, who cares? You're forcing me to just focus on what I look like. Like, why am I not allowed to focus on how smart I am or how strong I am? Anyway, I don't know.
It's pretty good. Okay, so the paper prompt is statement of what these women have to say, how women relate to beauty, and then provide evidence. So I guess what's our thesis statement? And then I took a lot of notes so I can write the paper. Hopefully I can get this done by around 5 o'clock and I can send it in.
Okay, cool. I think that these women relate to beauty in that it oppresses them. I don't know. What's her name says, too long, degraded, scorned, oppressed. Like, and then this quote shows perfectly how Mary thinks that beauty oppresses her because society forces her to only focus on her beauty. And then maybe at the end of the paper you could say that their big ideas for the poems besides beauty is that the true beauty of women is their potential. English, Amy? Is Nicole free? Is Nicole frozen? Are you typing?
Okay, so I put Mary Wollstonecraft and Barbauld has identified that society stance on beauty strains women on the true meaning of beauty, which is their potential. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a very good statement, but something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, you could just maybe focus the paper on how, like, Mary Wollstonecraft and Barbauld see beauty as restrictive and oppressive. Like, that society's idea of beauty is that. And then show how they thought of that. And then, like, in the conclusion, say, like, their true beauty is, or I don't know if you can put both. put the whole entire idea into the paper, that would actually be really good. Because then rather than what they about physical beauty, and then say what they actually
like start off with saying like this is what they feel society is imposing on women as far as beauty, but this is, and then the next paragraph be like this is what they actually feel on how women should feel on about beauty, which is gaining their potential.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you how to write it. Just some suggestions that might help your paper.
Yeah, and I really like that you sent me all the quotes because that will be perfect that I can embed in those. And then I'll keep looking for some more that I feel like, oh, this actually would be stronger and such. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. And then we'll just meet on Monday for the Wednesday paper? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Send me the link. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. Message when we're going to meet on Monday.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.